Howdy, assholes! Are you 13? Are you? Well, let me tell you something. If you're 13 years old or older, sit back, grab yourself some popcorn, enjoy the show. You're allowed to stay. But if you're not 13, get the fuck out. Right now. This show is not for you. It is not for children. It is for adults and young adults, and you should go ask your parents why they suck at their job because they're letting YouTube raise their kid. So yeah, go do that. Come back when you're 13. Enough said.
1954. I don't know what y'all remember this year for, but I know what I remember it for. The birth of the mighty king of the monsters, Godzilla. Yes, truly 1954 was one of the years that would go on to influence the world in a great many ways with this particular film. Truth be told, this movie was the first of its kind in many ways, and it was so successful that many, in fact, I'm pretty sure all of the movies that came after this one, in some way or another, did try to replicate some of the magic from the original film. Some with not so well-received success, and some with very successful results.
A great success!
Alright, so Noah, here we are on the Godzillathon. Are you excited, good lad?
I was gonna insert a Godzilla roar, but yes I am.
Alright. Alright, so first off, background on the film itself. Let's go over the inspiration of this film first. So, obviously, everyone knows that the original Godzilla film was basically a symbol for nuclear war, and was inspired by the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was basically showing the horrors of nuclear war and a nuclear holocaust. In digging up information for this little Godzillathon that we're doing, I actually found that Ishiro Honda, at least most sites say it was Ishiro Honda, he actually was somewhat inspired by American kaiju films or monster films like King Kong, The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, and films like that. So, I mean, it is kind of a kick in the balls knowing that King Kong was directly related to the creation of Godzilla, but in the end, I think that's actually kind of cool. What do you think, dude?
I think it's actually nice and a bit symbiotic, seeing as how their rivalry has extended even to 2021.
Yeah, pretty much. Originally, they planned on making this film like claymation, and stop motion, like they did with the King Kong film, but apparently due to time constraints, that was not actually an option. So instead, they came up with a new method of filmmaking.
Never mind whatever noise you guys hear in the background, that's immutable.
Which brings us to the fact that this was the first movie of its kind in the sense that it put a person in a rubber suit depicting the monster. This is known as either suitmation or tokusatsu.
And this would be a tactic used by many other companies in the future.
Oh, yeah. No kidding, dude. It was, this was an inspirational film, and there's no denying that. You may hate this film, you may love it, but nevertheless, the 1954 movie was absolutely badass in many different ways. And, the suit itself was so heavy and hot inside that the actors wearing the suit actively passed out during filming, but
there was a rumor that I read about a while ago that in order to drain the suit of all the sweat that was inside of the suit, they had to hang it from the ceiling. Do not quote me on that, but reported a while back that confirmed that.
I guess it actually kind of does seem possible. Like, how else would you get rid of all that sweat?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if it was that hot, then I can understand. Which, by the way, credit where credit is due. I found the two actors for the original film that wore the Godzilla suit. Haruo Nakajima, everybody knows who he is. Everyone loves him. The man's an inspiration. And please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this. I'm sorry. Katsumi Tezuka.
Yeah, did I, we are totally butchering that name. I'm so sorry. Hold on, send me the name and I'll try and read it. K-A-T-S-U-M-I-T-E-Z-U-K-A. Yeah, alright, let's just roll with it. Yeah.
Obviously, the fabled Kaiju Rumble would not actually come about until the film after this one, but that's for tomorrow's video. So yeah. Noah, your thoughts on the background of this film?
Well, as one that actually saw the film on HBO Max, not actually on the DVD, unfortunately, but for the background knowledge and all that, I'd say, like, well, don't know what to say, actually.
Oh. Alright.
I'm babbling on about. I mean,
Ah.
well, as you were saying multiple times on how influential this movie was, it even drew the attention of the Americans.
Oh yeah. Fucking, and yeah, that's actually another thing too. You just reminded me. This film has two different versions of the film that I know of. It's the original Japanese version, which came out in 1954, and the American re-edit, which featured newly recorded scenes with Steve Martin in the 1956 re-edit for American audiences.
I had to.
Let's cover the Japanese plot first. The Japanese plot follows the Japanese government, and I'm sorry, but both Wikipedia and IMDb don't actually give specifics on the actual characters, except for the most prominent ones. Obviously, the most integral piece of the film, Dr. Serizawa. But nevertheless, the Japanese edit follows the Japanese government in their attempts to stop a freshly appearing giant monster by the name of Godzilla that appears and ravages Tokyo after destroying both civilian and military vessels across the coast of Japan. And then for the...
And if you want to get
What?
if you want to get a bit technical about it, they did call him specifically Gojira.
Yep.
After the Japanese word being a combination of the Japanese words of gorilla and whale.
Yes, actually, that's a very good point. And now, for the American version, the American re-edit from 1956, follows a journalist by the name of Steve Martin, as he is in Tokyo on a different assignment entirely, but he has to shift his focus when he finds a new and better story in the form of a giant monster named Godzilla. And, in this version, by the way, the American re-edit called it Godzilla King of the Monsters. And,
Wait.
Yeah, what?
Godzilla King of the Monsters with an exclamation mark.
Yes, gotta get the exclamation mark in there, absolutely. And,
And throughout the film, Steve Martin is easily the worst part of the American re-edit, but...
You know, whatever. By the way, I am calling him Steve Martin because that is his name in the film. He was played by Raymond Burr, and in my opinion, he is easily the worst part of the film. Not because of the actor, but just the way that the American studios back then re-edited it was just insane. It was just pointless.
And both films essentially end and continue on the same way, whereas the Japanese military, jets, tanks, and all forms of conventional weaponry, they throw everything they can at this giant behemoth, but it is all worth nothing, Until at the end of the film, when Dr. Serizawa, a mad scientist, is convinced to use his terrifying new weapon by the name of the Oxygen Destroyer to kill the giant menace. So, yeah, Noah, your thoughts?
Well, in terms of both of the movies, while yes, both are good in their own department, granted the original Japanese one being better in most regards, mainly due to the ending scene where they talk about the nuclear warfare and the dangers of it,
Yep.
while on the other hand, the American release does not, and just saying, the world will be safer knowing that Godzilla is no more.
Yeah.
That's the line
It
that I forgot.
completely undercuts the message of the entirety of the film, and quite frankly, I think that,
Sorry, dog. Sorry about that, Chihuahua. Go grow up somewhere else. Sorry about him.
but yeah, no. I don't see a problem with the American re-edit. Just the simple fact, though, that, and full disclosure, I have not seen the Japanese version. I want to see the Japanese version, and if y'all would point me towards the Japanese, where I can buy the original Japanese edit, please do. Please do point that to me in the comment section. I would love that. And since we are planning on doing another Godzillathon, that is the version that we will cover when we do full-fledged reviews of these things. So we're not going to give final verdicts, like 7 or 8 out of 10s or anything like that. We're not doing that for these videos. Instead, Noah, what audiences would you recommend watch this movie?
I would say maybe like from ages that 15 to any up to above, because the
Yeah.
original one is in a way kind of dark and
Oh,
depressing.
it's very dark, and there are literally scenes scattered across the movie of people dying and grasping their children, talking about how like the one scene with the mother holding her children inside of an alleyway, basically saying, "We'll be with your father soon." And nothing against that. Like that's some nice storytelling there, but straight up, this movie gets very dark and very, sinister at times.
The music may sometimes sound somewhat playful, but not really when you look at the scene.
Right. And actually, yeah, let's talk about Godzilla himself now, because in the original 1954 film, make no mistake, this is a far cry from the Godzilla we will see in later films. He is a pure evil, sadistic bastard. This thing...
Well,
Go on.
well, technically, the reason he did come on land and start destroying Tokyo was mainly because due to all the humans and their nuclear experimentation, basically
Right.
scarring him for life.
Right, turning him from a prehistoric animal into a giant monster, the first and last of his kind.
Basically, yeah, and so that's why the suit maker's trying to make his head in a way of a shape of a mushroom cloud that would
Yep.
be left behind by a nuke.
Yeah. And no, straight up, make no mistake, this Godzilla is a far cry from the goody two-shoes Godzilla we're gonna see in later films. He is an evil son of a bitch, and he goes out of his way to kill and torture human beings, all for the sake of revenge.
It's, in a way, you can't really blame him that much, because
Oh,
humans
I'm
themselves
not saying I blame him. Straight up, human beings are dog shit. But yeah, I'm just saying. And yeah, that's basically all there is to talk about the films, unless we want to do a deep dive. But I don't actually have the technological capabilities of that yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and leave it off there. And obviously, with the success of this film being as good as it was all but guaranteed that there was going to be a sequel, and sure enough, in 1955, Toho would come at us with another installation of the Godzilla franchise, Godzilla Raids Again. And yeah, join us tomorrow when we talk about that film. Alright, see y'all tomorrow, guys.
Alright, y'all know the drill. Like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Y'all want more videos, right? More kick-ass shit? Well, good, because I want more views. Let's help each other on this.